Thank you for joining on this afternoon. Lovely to see you here. Just as an introduction, we're going to look at live online training this afternoon. We're going to look at resources, where you can find them, how you can use them, how you can combine them all together. So let's kind of jump into it. Just a bit of housekeeping there. If you do want to use the chat, I can see that Mariam has already used that already, so thank you for your messages. If anybody else wants to use it as well, just put any comments in there and we can kind of have that collaborative sharing chat going on together as well, which would be great. Introducing myself, I am Mark, former primary school teacher, now doing professional development for Smart. Loving it and loving to be able to support you whatever way I can. So whether it's through these fortnightly sessions like this, or whether it's through emails, or actually coming out into school now, which is great to be able to actually come and see and support some of you. Let me know how I can be of help, and we can start that conversation as well. Whether through the chat, through this is here, whether there's a poll at the end, or if you don't want to drop me an email afterwards as well, which is fantastic. Great. So today, our objectives for today, I've kind of put a weird objective just of resources. I didn't really want to narrow it down or put anything like that, of how can we share resources, how can you support and actually use those resources within your lessons, and obviously the main thing is, where are we going to get them from that doesn't take absolutely hours to actually find them in the first place. And we're going to look at kind of those ones there, looking at Loomio, looking at Smart Exchange, and how to combine them obviously within Smart Notebook and in Loomio, looking at sharing with them with ambassadors, and obviously on social media using that hashtag as well. So let's just jump into Loomio. Loomio, as of this week, as of very, very recently, is the new rebranded Smart Learning Suite Online. Quite a lot easier to say of Loomio, which is nice. And there is actually a website, a quick way of finding it, which is just loom.io if you want to go that way. Quite a nice one if you want to share it with any colleague or anything like that, rather than having to find and search for it or something like that. So loom.io is a really quick and easy way of actually finding that there. So with that, let's just jump to loom.io, Loomio. You can see it's just been rebranded with names and stuff like that. But actually, when we're jumping into this, how and why are we going to use resources from in here? Because that's the main thing I wanted to look at, these resources. And I'm actually going to start by looking at this tab here. This is Explore Resources. So these Explore Resources within here, if I just click on one of these, you can see that these are the resources that are available to use for you for any time. Obviously, being run by a Canadian company, we have got a Canada Day here. So for all those Canadians that were with it today, happy Canada Day. If you want to look at any backgrounds, you've got some really nice templates that are very much focused on the Loomio kind of squiggles within that as well. You've got fun facts within there, but you've actually got some different events looking at fractions and reading and writing. And these are all really good quality lessons that we've looked at and we've kind of integrated with them here that are going to work well within your Loomio account. So if I just jump into this fractions vocabulary here, if I click on this one here, it's going to open it for us. We can see there's kind of similar ones down the side, and you can actually preview any of these activities within here. So I can actually see it and actually play with it. I can match those up as a third to a third. And then if I want to add it to my library, I just click Save to my library. And you can see at the bottom right in there, it's just saying importing, and then that is now going to put it into my library. So I've got that one, and I'm good to go with that one. There you go, that one's there. I can edit that one. So if I've said, well, maybe that's a starting point, I've got those lessons there, really good starting point. I found those ready to go. I liked that one. I didn't particularly like the second one, so I'm just going to delete that page there, but I'm going to keep that one in. So far I've started my lesson with some resources that I found in Loomio. To be able to add to that, the bottom there, it's got a little add button. So if I add that, I could then add more. I could import more resources. So I could import PDFs or PowerPoints, or obviously Smart Notebook files as well. And I can look at my local storage, my library. And also, if I'm connected through Google Drive, I can connect and we'll have a button there to be able to search for Google Drive as well. If I wanted to add any more content that is in Loomio, now I'm looking at fractions. I'm just going to search for fractions in there, and it's going to give me some loads of more examples. Some of these here are done by Smart ambassadors. So Mr. Colebrook, Guy, he's got some really good examples of fraction games there. And I've got some other lessons looking at improper fractions by Smart. and lots of other content within there, which is related to it. Let's just see, I wanted to bring this fraction here because I can see that's a similar game. What it's going to show me is it's going to show me this whole lesson. Again, whichever parts of that. And again, I can then save that to my lesson. And then it brings just that one into my lesson here. So I've got that in my stream of my lessons. So I'm beginning to build my content within the lesson itself here. I've also got some of these digital manipulators and graphic organizers, and they're really good resources to be able to use within your lesson and actually make in there as well. Rather than my graphic organizer, I'm going to use a manipulator board, and I'm going to add in that fraction wall as well. So I'm beginning to build up this lesson with the resources that I've already made. It already looks good. It's already great to have within that lesson as well. And maybe I wanted to convert this one into an individual handout so that every child has got their own kind of copy of this one that they can use as well. And I've done that one ready, and I can finish that one and have that editing there. So that there is, I've actually got that lesson and I'm ready to go with it, with those resources that are already made within Loomio, ready to share with everybody else as well. I'm just going to show us one more example of in there. If I wanted to add a lesson, I can actually import a resource. I'm just going to go to my local storage. I'm not sure if I've got a fraction one ready for this one. I've got an ambassador page. I'm just going to bring that ambassador one in because I'm going to refer to that later on. So it's going to take this notebook lesson and it's then going to bring it into my lesson that I'm creating at the moment. So it's just going to convert it from a notebook file into a Loomio file, and then we'll be good to go this one. And then what it'll do, it'll just preview which pages do I want to use, and then I can bring in those specific ones into it. Although it's not going to let me do that at the moment because there has been an error. I could try again another time, but you can see how I can bring other points in just for now. So I can add those, import those resources from that there. And there's lots more within that as well as these main titles that you saw within that as well. So then, so let's just jump back onto my here. So that is looking at resources within Loomio, and there's lots of content within there as well. Jumping onto an exchange. So the exchange itself, rather than looking for lessons that you just want to use within Loomio, obviously Loomio is a fantastic resource for what it is, but sometimes you want to go to use Notebook and actually use the resources and actually the teaching benefits of doing it within Smart Notebook. So that's when you might want to go to Exchange. Now, some of these lessons, obviously you can import them into Loomio and use them that way, but if you want to have them as resources that you can have in both, then the Smart Exchange will be one from there. The web address you can see at the top there is just exchange.smarttech-prod.com, but if you just Google Smart Exchange, you'll be able to find it. You've got a little video of a little tour of it there, and then there's lots of lessons within this as well, all kind of categorized into the main parts, even like looking down at managing your classroom, you can see at the bottom there. And then if you sign into the top here, what you'll have access to is you'll be able to download these and share them all as well. And then you'll be able to import your own lessons within you sharing a resource for that as well. Once you have shared that resource, or if you're wanting to look for other ones, you'll be able to see here that I can search by, well, mine is still on grade level. I've got my browser set up as a US one. It's a new browser. I'll go away and change that to the UK. So I would have year groups on down there as well. And then the same would apply for subjects. I'd get these related to my particular region, and then you'd be able to see which subjects you want in there as well. So if I just say, if I'm going to search for grade 6 and I want to do something on mathematics, I can click search. And then down here, these are all going to be all the different lessons that are available for me from there as well. And I can kind of look at them, I can preview. I might be able to look at just on location. I want to see ones in England, and I want to see just activities, or I want to see full lessons. So I can actually narrow down those lessons by that way. And then once I click on one of those here, I can actually see the relevance of it and see how that is going to be supported in my lesson. And then you can see here that I can save it to Loomio, or I can actually download it and have that as a Smart Notebook lesson and use that as a resource for myself as well. But there's loads and loads of stuff within that Smart Exchange. So go and have a look, see what's ones are right for you, and see which ones you want to share if you want to share a resource within that as well. But lots of stuff within there as well. So looking at combining resources within Notebook. Now, if you've got them within Notebook, I can just copy these pages across. So if I just open up a new Notebook file, if I want to combine the resources from this, I can just take these pages here. For example, if I wanted that page and that page, I can what I can do is actually, where's my other notebook file gone? There it is. And then I've got these ones here. I can drag these, I can drop them into my new file here, so that I can begin to build my lesson within that as well. If I wanted to bring in a PowerPoint or anything, I can go File, Import, and then I can import either PDFs or whiteboard files, or if I wanted to import a PowerPoint as well, so I can begin to build that lesson within Notebook as well. If I wanted to build within Loomio, I've already kind of showed you how to combine those resources, bring in those bits and pieces so I can really get that lesson of exactly what I want, and obviously delete pages and add pages and duplicate them, whichever way you see fit for that as well. So jumping back onto here. There we go. So we've got that combining resources. So it's really making that lesson that you want it as well. And obviously you've got your gallery within Smart Notebook as well. So if you have got any interactive multimedia, like I brought up that clock at the beginning, or even if you've made some actually key pages with this as well. For example, this one, I think I've shown this a few times. If I wanted to show number bonds, I might be doing it with my fingers in that way. If I wanted an activity, a game that I've already made beforehand, I wanted to bring that one in, I can have that as a background already made within my content and just bringing it in when I need it to into my lesson here. So I'm really combining those resources that I've already made and I've already got to hand to bring them up in here as well. And obviously, if you're sharing resources amongst staff, you could share them as a Loomio file, or you could share them as a notebook file. So you can actually share that amongst so you're not reinventing the wheel every time you're doing that. Obviously, with a notebook file, you can just go File and Save. Excuse me. And then once you've saved that lesson, you can then share it with everybody however way you normally would share a file, like a Word file or a PDF or a PowerPoint or whatever it might be, saving it in your OneDrive or your Google Drive or just a good old memory stick if you want to do it that way, or of course, email it to somebody in that sense there. If you're sharing it within Loomio, you've got your three little dots here. So to share this resource, I click on those three dots, click on Share a Link, and then I've got these two links here to share it either as a teacher or share it as a student, and then they can have that access to as well. If it's shared as a student link, essentially it's that asynchronous lesson. So they can access that lesson anytime they want, good to go, including any of those games or any videos or any audio you've added into that. Quite nice for actually sharing it with parents as well, so they can see what they've been contributing to their lesson as well. Or if you are sharing it as a teacher link, then what that lesson is, it gives that whole lesson to the other teacher, and then they can import that into their Loomio account and use that for them as well. So that's combining, that's sharing those resources within Notebook and Loomio. So the kind of final piece here is looking at the Smart Ambassadors. So Smart Ambassadors, if I'm just going to jump to this page here, we have got our own platform, and in that platform here, it's a way of speaking to each other, looking at different content, and there's loads of interactions and prizes to be won. You've got different groups down the side here, you've got different stores, you can ask questions, and you can have lots of different points within that as well, so kind of points win prizes if you like to do that. But it's what it is, it's a really good resource where teachers can come together, teachers I can say, and educators, whatever sense it is, whether that's leaders or our teachers themselves or anybody looking at education, where you can come together and really kind of be part of a community and learn and share resources if you want to look at it that way. So this page here just gives you more information about Smart Ambassadors. What I will actually do, because I can get to the chat now, is actually put a link to that in the chat. So if you do want to find out any more of that, there is a link in the chat and you can kind of have a look and join that way as well. So what it is, it's, yes, you get your email badge, and it's a place where people can come together and learn more about Smart, more about education and how it's being used in your community, and just gives you brighter new ways of looking at it. There might be that you are posting resources. Like I said, on this page here, there is a share your resource page. And then within that, there's lots and lots of different resources that are made by great uses of Smart, with the Smart Ambassadors within there as well. But there's lots of kind of key benefits from joining that group. And then to apply here, very, very quick, some simple steps. 1, 2, 3, and you can apply to that as well. And there's lots of different pieces there. And then there's some good kind of points down at the bottom here. These are some great educators that are just doing some great stuff with the platform, and kind of learning their story and why, for all those bits and pieces on there, and some good links down at the bottom there as well if you want to learn more. But I've put the link in the chat, so feel free to go and have a mooch by yourself. And the final point here is just using that hashtag #WeAreSmart. Now, I've alluded to this one before. The more we can share and more we can learn from each other, the better it is. And that We Are Smart hashtag is a great one to look at, particularly on Twitter, and just find out what everybody is doing and how, and learning from each other in that sense there as well. So feel free to go and have a look in that one. So as we kind of come to a bit of an end here, just kind of that challenge for you is to share your resources. What are you using? What are you learning from? Are you using Smart? Are you using any other resources that you might have brought into Smart, or just completely separately? We'd love to hear more about those. So feel free to use the hashtag I've just mentioned, We Are Smart. Of course, if you want to search me up individually on Twitter, you can. I'm just going to take away that space there. That's my Twitter handle there, and there's my email address as well. So I'd love to hear about what you're using within your school, within your setting for supporting education and for supporting teaching and learning, in any sense of that. So feel free to share that along there. If you do want to put it on any social platform, then more than welcome to. Those are the different ones there. So just have a look and we can learn together in that sense there, in there. So I'm just going to kind of nosy over to the chat. I can't see any other chats, questions that have just popped up on there. I am going to start a poll for us all. If you do want to actually do that poll and fill it in, feel free to do so. If you don't, then no problem at all. It just asks a few questions for a bit of feedback in that sense there. And that's very much leading on to next week. So yes, you've got the opportunity to ask any questions now if you want to, and I'm more than happy to answer those. But here in the UK, the last one will be the last one before we break up for summer. Obviously, if over the summer holidays you do come up with any other questions and do want my support, then feel free to be in touch, and I'll do the best I can. But next week is going to be a drop-in session. So if you want to bring any live questions, we can open up mics, we can ask them that way, we can open up the chat box. But just to be a end of year, let's just have a bit of a sharing Q&A section, and we'll kind of leave it open to the floor for there as well. For that. So if you do want any more information, if you want any other support, kind of bespoke training packages, whether that's me coming out into school, whether that's running sessions like this, or looking at the holistic approach across the whole school, then feel free to be in touch in that way there. So just to bring it to a close, I can't see any other questions that have popped up in the chat. So thank you for everyone that has joined today. It's really appreciated you joining and being part of that conversation. So thank you for that. And I'll hang around for another minute or so just to see if any questions that do pop up. But if you do want to run away, and hopefully that's been a few good learning points for you of where you can get resources from, how you can combine them together, and how you can use them to actually make a difference within your classroom as well. So thank you very much for joining, and take care, and hopefully I'll see you in a few weeks, and goodbye. Thank you.